Welcome to another Stretch with Dave. Today we are going to be going through the hip again. The hip is a large, is a joint that has a large group of muscles attached to it, and very large and powerful muscles at that. That you guessed it, get tight very easily. So we're going to go through a part 2 of the hip mobility, so you have something that you can sort of bounce back and forth on. Today we have a little bit more rotation. We didn't have as much rotation in the last one, so we're going to do a little bit more rotation, and we're on the ground more than the last one. So I have a band here. You can use a towel as well. It's only really necessary for the band hamstring stretch. But again, you can just use like a towel or a blanket or something, anything where you can really wrap around your butt. Even a sweater would work. But we're going to start with our hip rotation. So what I'm doing is I'm lying on the ground with my arms in a T. Legs are just slightly bent right now. I'm going to lift them up, and then I'm just going to bring my knees side to side. It's okay if your knee doesn't touch the ground. You can go with sort of the ankle touching the ground, but we don't want the shoulders to come off the ground. The hips can, but we don't want the shoulders to come off the ground at any point. If you find it difficult to keep your legs raised, you can just tap your knee side to side, right? I don't need to, see if I can get a little closer or a little more centered here for you. I don't need to keep my legs lifted. I get a larger stretch if I do this. However, if you're unable to do it, or you feel like it's causing you some low back pain, that's not necessary. We just go keep the knees together, bring those side to side. You don't have to lift the leg. All right, so we will move on to our open bucks. So we're going to stay in this T position. I'm going to take my left leg. I'm going to bring it over. I'm just going to get the foot on the ground. That's all I'm focusing on, getting the foot on the ground. Since my left leg is crossed over, my left arm is the moving arm. I'm going to keep my eyes on my left hand the whole time. And again, we do that because it makes our cervical spine move at the same rate as our T-spine and keeps everything in line. While you're doing this with your left leg crossed over, just make sure your right leg is nice and straight. And we'll switch sides. So now the right leg is coming over. Right arm is moving. Keeping the gaze on the right hand. And for this one, you don't need to be able to touch the floor like I can here. And if it helps to have something propped up on either side, either for your arm to stop or to prop up your leg to make things a little easier, you can absolutely do that. You gotta make sure that left leg is straight and you're keeping your eye on your right hand as you open and close the book. All right, so we're gonna go into our dynamic pigeon. So we're just gonna change position real quick. If these are too challenging for you, you can use a chair and do those seated pigeons that we did last week. High plank position. I'm going to cross my left leg in front, drop my right knee down, get my right shin on the ground, and then I'm going to go down onto my forearms, back up, and switch sides. So now the right leg comes across, drop the left knee, drop the left shin, onto those forearms, and back up. If getting onto the forearms is too difficult, just switch sides as soon, you can just go as soon as you drop the knee, shin, keep the chest lifted, then you could switch. The forearms just add a little extra depth if you have that ability to do so. If you don't want to continually switch sides, what you can do to keep this dynamic is getting the chest up. It's a little bit more static than switching, which is fine. It's okay to do static stretches, even, you know, at the start. It's fine, but it's not the best. If we go from dynamic stretches into static stretches, we are better off. But you don't always need to do the best if the best isn't comfortable for you. The best is what you'll actually do and be consistent with. So now that we're a little warmed up in the hips, we are going to go into our figure 4, which is a static stretch. So I'm sitting on the ground. I'm going to cross my left leg over my right. I'm going to go onto my back here. I'm going to actually go right over my left for the start here. Right hand through the hole, left hand on the outside of the left knee, and we're going to pull that left knee towards the chest. And you should feel a stretch in your right hip. And again, just for this, we're going to use those breath cycles. So why don't you go ahead and take 5 deep breaths in and 5 deep breaths out. Switch. Another important thing to know on this stretch in particular, so I've crossed my left leg over my right now, left hand through the whole right hand on the outside, is that we need to keep our head flat on the ground. A lot of people like to crane their neck to, you know, see what they're doing. Trust me, if you can feel a stretch, you're doing it right. If you have difficulties, if it's because of range of motion that you have to crane your neck, grab your resistance band or towel, put that through the hole, and use that to pull your knee towards your chest rather than having to crane your neck up to grab it. Again, that can be done with a towel or a sweater as well, but it just makes it a little easier for you to do the stretch without impacting another area, because we don't want to do a stretch to loosen up one area only to cause damage to another. Okay, so conveniently I have my band here. I'm going to put my band around the bottom of my right foot, or sweater or towel. You can have a slight bend in your left leg if you want. Doesn't really matter if it's straight or not on this one. But we're just going to go up, keeping the toe pointed towards the shin, and down. And we're just going to move through this one, providing the hamstrings a little extra mobility. Not as much hamstring stretches in this hip mobility part 2. If you missed that one, go ahead and check it out on YouTube. Keep that toe pointed towards the shin, leg straight. Switch sides. Easy way, if you have these loop bands, is I just put my foot in the other side. Easy transfer there. Leg straight, toe pointed towards the shin, and we're just moving through it. If you're not doing mobility at least 2 times a week, you should be adding it in somewhere. These things only get harder as you get older. It's best to establish these habits early so that we can stay mobile, so we're not undoing a lot of damage in the future. As I always say, the best time to plant a tree, 20 years ago, the next best time to plant a tree is now, so let's plant that tree with mobility. So we're going to go into our child pose to our Cobra. So we did this one last time. Push the hips back, hands forward, and then as we breathe, we can change into this Cobra where I'm on my hands, under my shoulders, chest is lifted. Try to press my hips into the ground. They don't quite make it there. That's okay. And then I just push back, hips into heels, reaching as far forward as I can, head in between my elbows, looking down. On my breath, I switch. I'll just quiet for a little bit and let you guys move through this one. All right. We'll go to our cat-to-cow. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. I arch my spine up, tuck my chin in. Bring my spine to neutral, chin to neutral, and we just move through those. This is one of my favorite stretches because it teaches you, or mobility exercise, because it teaches you how to move your spine, and the cow particularly, right, because we have a nice neutral spine here. Really great exercise. But it also gets the cervical spine mobile. A lot of people are looking at their phones a lot nowadays, or looking down, and their cervical spine becomes very rigid. And this is just a nice exercise to bring back that mobility. All right, half kneel hip flexor. So from this kneeling position, I'm just going to swing my left leg forward. It's a little bit more of like an exaggerated step forward from this kneeling position. Push my hips forward. Right arm comes up in line with the ear, and hopefully you're feeling that stretch along the side there. Some people feel it more in the bottom there. If you do, just try to get that knee a little bit behind the hip, take that exaggerated step forward, and get that arm up, right? And again, this is another breath cycle one, so we're going to take our 5 deep breaths in, 5 deep breaths out. We've already probably taken 1 or 2. And we'll switch sides. Front view here. Take that exaggerated step. And our 5 deep breath cycles. You know, just because you do these exercises here today doesn't mean we didn't stretch other areas as well. Like with the open books, we still opened up our chest and our shoulders. Child's pose, obviously, stretching out a lot of the back, Cobra, abs, but these all attach to the hip, right? Minus the chest and the shoulders, but they all have an impact, and we're not missing out on mobility of other areas when we do videos like this. All right, and we'll finish off with our butterfly. So I'm just going to go bottom of my feet, press together. I don't have great range of motion on this just because of my skeletal structure, with my leg bones being so long and my legs, my femur sitting deep in my acetabulum. So I'm just going to try to bring my heels towards my body. You can try to press your knees down with your elbows to intensify the stretch. I don't find that necessary. If I feel that 6 out of 10 stretch in my groin area, that's fine. You can get that slight lean forward too to intensify the stretch a little bit. Again, we just breathe through this. This is our last stretch of the day, so I hope you enjoyed the video today. I hope your hips are feeling a little looser, a little bit more mobile. If you need help with strengthening, you can always check out our other classes. Plenty of videos on YouTube. A lot that are lower body focused. You can try those. A lot that have core focus, and the core muscles are, integral to hip health. So if you want to try those, please do. I highly encourage it. If not, I will see you in the next video. I hope you have a wonderful day.